Marcus Chen had always been good with words, but he never imagined they would save humanity. The crystalline chamber aboard the Zephyrian flagship hummed with tension as Queen Zyrath held up the data pad, her 6 eyes blazing with an emotion that transcended species barriers. Her translucent skin shifted from pale blue to deep crimson, a sign of extreme agitation that every human prisoner had learned to fear over the past 3 months. "Who wrote this?" she roared, her voice echoing through the bioluminescent walls. The sound made several prisoners flinch, their chains rattling against the organic floor. Marcus felt his heart hammering against his ribs. Among the 200 humans captured during Earth's fall, he was perhaps the most unremarkable, a freelance technical writer who had been visiting his sister in Mumbai when the Zephyrian invasion began. No military training, no scientific expertise, just a man who made his living explaining complex ideas in simple terms. But he recognized the data pad in the Queen's elongated fingers. It contained the emergency protocols he had hastily written during the siege of the Mumbai defense complex, before the city's shields fell and the survivors were taken. The Queen's gaze swept across the assembled prisoners like a searchlight. This human document has cost me 17 ships and nearly 4,000 warriors. Whoever authored this tactical manual will face me personally. The other prisoners exchanged worried glances. Captain Rodriguez, the highest-ranking military officer among them, stepped forward slightly. Marcus could see the man preparing to take responsibility, to protect his people as any good leader would. But Marcus raised his hand first. "I wrote it," he said, his voice cracking slightly. He cleared his throat and tried again, stronger this time. "I wrote it, Your Majesty." The Queen's head snapped toward him, all 6 eyes focusing with predatory intensity. Around him, his fellow prisoners stared in shock. Captain Rodriguez shot him a look that clearly said, "Are you insane?" Marcus stepped forward, his legs unsteady but his resolve growing firmer with each step. The Queen was magnificent and terrifying, nearly 3 meters tall, with flowing appendages that served as both arms and sensory organs, and a crown of natural crystal formations that pulsed with bioluminescent patterns. "You," she hissed, lowering, herself to examine him more closely. "You are not military. I can smell the fear on you, little human. Warriors do not reek of terror as you do." "You're right," Marcus said, surprised by his own steadiness. "I'm not a warrior. I'm a writer." The Queen's skin flickered through several colors. Confusion, perhaps, or intrigue. "A writer? You create fiction?" "Technical documentation, actually. I take complex systems and make them understandable for people who need to use them." Marcus managed a weak smile. "Though I suppose that document was a bit of both, technical and fictional." "Explain." The command was sharp, brooking no delay. Marcus took a breath. "When your forces surrounded Mumbai, I was in the defense complex. The military systems were incredibly sophisticated, but the interfaces were designed by engineers for engineers. When the attack came, half the operators couldn't figure out how to execute basic defensive maneuvers. The Queen's crystalline crown pulsed brighter. "Continue." "So I watched, I learned, and I rewrote everything. I created simple, step-by-step instructions that anyone could follow. I made diagrams. I wrote it like I was explaining it to my grandmother." Marcus gained confidence as he spoke. "The thing is, Your Majesty, humans aren't like your people. We're not born knowing how to operate complex systems, but we're very good at learning from clear instructions." "This manual," the Queen said, holding up the data pad, "it contains tactical scenarios I have never encountered, defensive patterns that seem chaotic but prove devastatingly effective. How does a writer create such strategies?" Marcus almost laughed. "I didn't create them. I just organized them. See, humans have been fighting each other for thousands of years. Every trick, every strategy, every desperate gambit, it's all been documented somewhere. military historians, war memoirs, tactical analyses, even old strategy games. I just took all that scattered knowledge and put it together in a way that made sense." The Queen was silent for a long moment, her skin cycling through colors Marcus couldn't interpret. Finally, she spoke. "Your species bewilders me. You are individually weak, short-lived, and prone to panic. Yet you consistently perform beyond all projections. My strategists spent cycles analyzing your military capabilities, but they failed to account for this." "For what?" "For the fact that you share knowledge, that a non-combatant can become a force multiplier simply by organizing information effectively." She studied him with what might have been respect. "My people are different. Knowledge is power, and power is hoarded. A Zephyrian warrior would never share tactical insights with subordinates." Marcus nodded slowly. "That's why you're going. To lose." The chamber fell deadly silent. Several prisoners gasped audibly. The Queen's skin flared brilliant red, then slowly faded to a thoughtful purple. "Elaborate," she said, her voice dangerously quiet. "You've conquered dozens of worlds," Marcus continued, knowing he was gambling with everyone's lives. "But humans are different. We write everything down. We share stories. We learn from each other's mistakes and build on each other's successes. Every time you defeat one of our colonies, the survivors spread the word about your tactics. Every victory you achieve makes the next battle harder. And you believe this? Information sharing will enable your species to resist indefinitely." Marcus met her gaze. "I believe it will enable us to adapt faster than you can. We've been doing it for millennia. Every human knows the stories. Small groups defeating vast armies through cleverness, inferior forces winning through superior organization, underdogs triumphing because they learned from those who came before." The Queen stood to her full height, her presence filling the chamber. For a moment, Marcus was certain he had just signed humanity's death warrant. Then she began to laugh, a sound like crystal chimes in a hurricane. "Writer Marcus Chen," she said finally, "you have given me the first honest assessment of this conflict I have received. My own advisors tell me only what they believe I wish to hear." She paused, her skin shifting to a color Marcus had never seen before, something between silver and gold. "I find myself in an unusual position." "What position is that?" "I am impressed." "By an enemy. More than that, I am curious about your people's potential." The Queen turned to address the assembled prisoners. "I came here intending to execute whoever authored this manual. Instead, I find myself wondering what other knowledge your species might share if properly motivated." Marcus felt a flutter of hope. "What are you suggesting?" "A proposition. Your people will serve as strategic consultants to my forces. In exchange, the conquered human worlds will be granted limited autonomy. You will teach us your methods of knowledge, preservation, and dissemination. And if we refuse?" The Queen's smile was sharp as broken glass. "Then I will simply continue conquering worlds until I have collected enough human tactical manuals to learn these lessons myself. The choice is whether your species contributes to this education willingly or posthumously." Marcus looked around at his fellow prisoners, seeing fear and hope warring in their eyes. It wasn't freedom, but it was survival. And as long as humans survived, they would continue to learn, to adapt, to share their knowledge. He stepped forward, once more. "I'll need better materials than a data pad," he said, "and access to our historical databases. You can't properly document human tactical thinking without understanding the context." The Queen's laughter filled the chamber again. "Already you begin to teach me, Writer Chen. Very well. Let us see what lessons your species has to offer." As the crystalline walls pulsed with new colors, Marcus realized he had just become humanity's most unlikely ambassador. Armed with nothing but words and the accumulated wisdom of his species, he would help ensure their survival in a galaxy that had never seen anything quite like humanity's greatest weapon, the simple act of sharing knowledge. The war was far from over, but for the first time since Earth's fall, Marcus Chen dared to hope.